Now, this will be my first discussion on ulcerative colitis, which is the disease that I have. I've had it for, well, I don't know how long. Undiagnosed quite a while, probably starting at 13 or 14. It's only been diagnosed for a couple of years. Before that, they thought I had Crohn's disease. What I've gone through from the age of about 13 or 14 until now, well, up until they diagnosed it, I should say, 3 or 4 times a year I would end up in the hospital with horrible stomach pain. They didn't know what it was. I don't have the average symptoms of a inflammatory bowel disease. I don't get just a ton of diarrhea. It's mostly pain. Eventually, right around mid-20s, I went to see a GI specialist that actually said I had Crohn's disease. I started getting treatment for that with a acetol, which is, I think, called methylphenidate. It's a delivery system of that particular drug. Quite a few different types of delivery systems with different names. Currently I'm on Lialda. But that worked for quite a while on its own. And then, come to find out, every time I tried to quit smoking recently, I had a pretty intense flare-up. And they ended up putting me on Lialda, and I ended up getting switched and starting to do the research. And apparently nicotine mixed with the methylphenidate, or methylphenidate, don't know how to pronounce it, produced like 70% better remission rates than the drug itself. Currently switching from regular cigarettes back to my electronic cigarette, which I like better than a real cigarette, but it doesn't hold the craving off if you can't use it all the time. If you can use it, at least hourly, I don't get a craving at all for a cigarette. But if I'm doing something else, or if I'm at work and I have to stay away from it for a while, I do get a pretty intense craving, and usually only a regular cigarette with a strong dose of nicotine will do. Anyway, with the ulcerative colitis, what I experience mostly with this disease is the pain in my lower right and left hand sides of my stomach. I currently am probably one of the only people in the world that knows where my ileum is from the outside. That's part of my stomach that's inflamed the most, I guess, when I do have a flare-up. I guess it's kind of tough, because when you get in situations where you'd like to be calm, or, you'd like to have these perfect situations all throughout my life, especially in adolescence when they started to show up, especially with dating and girls and things like that. And then this thing that I had would flare up, would show up, and I would be in pain, and I would be nauseous and weak, and all the other things associated with it obviously made it much worse. That was a big problem. That made me essentially unsocialized as a teen, because I was afraid to go out with people. Yeah, I would do things, here or there, but it seemed like I'd always make sure my brother was with me. To be honest, ulcerative colitis has been a problem. Seems to be getting worse lately, because with my flare-ups I've got, I think it's called erythromyalgia, and that is not exactly the funnest thing. My ankles, my knees, my hands, my wrists, my elbows, any kind of joint I have in my body starts to hurt. Intense cramping, I guess, from malnutrition, a lack of certain vitamins being absorbed because of the inflamed areas in my intestines. All in all, pretty painful. And with that comes the questioning of, can I trust my body to stay working for another 20, 30 years to get my retirement? Am I going to be able to stay at the same job? Quite a bit of worry and fear. Anybody else out there have these kind of issues? Also, the biggest thing that it affects is I'm a father and a husband, and that job doesn't end. I can't just go home and curl up into a ball in the bed 24/7 when I'm sick, and I wouldn't if I could. Anybody else out there with inflammatory bowel disease have these same issues? Most of the people I see on YouTube with IBD are younger or older, seem to be single, no children in the picture. A lot of them are on disability. I'd like to know if there were people out there like me, just a dad who happens to have a disease.